Welcome in, everybody, to episode 13 of the Fantasy Bums podcast. Today, we're going to talk about training camp. It's arrived, it's here. Football is one step closer. I think we're all pretty happy about that. I can't wait for the start of the season, preseason, really. I'm just excited for any kind of football you can throw at me right now. Um, so, we have a couple of rumors to talk about a little bit. Dalvin Cook is visiting with the Jets this past weekend, so Brees Hall stocks might go down. Right now, Brees Hall is doing all right, but I think Michael Carter's been getting the majority of the team one reps. At least all the highlights I saw from New York were Michael Carter catching dump downs or screens uh from Aaron Rodgers. I completely forgot who they just signed, the big quarterback they just signed. So how are we feeling about Dalvin if he goes to? We'll talk about Dalvin first, and then we'll go into Brees. How are we feeling about Dalvin if he does sign to the Jets? And I want to start this with Robert Saleh did say we aren't going to pass on a superstar. That was his quote. So
Yeah, I
pretty
think
open ended.
yeah, I think if Dalvin goes to the Jets, this would be really good for him.
Mm-hmm.
As from an NFL standpoint, I'm not so sure about fantasy because that running back room would be pretty stacked with Brees and him.
Mm-hmm.
I could
Yeah,
see
that
him
that
taking
has
a
to be
lot
the
of
best room in the NFL, right?
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
for
it would
running
be.
backs.
Um, but I think he would take a lot of the pass work away from Brees Hall. Like Nick said, that Michael Carter was catching a lot of passes, so I don't
Mm-hmm.
think Brees Hall is going to be a big target out of the backfield. And if Dalvin comes in, he's going to take a lot away from that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to see this more as just a split down the middle for at least this year. So I mean, I wouldn't freak out too much if you have Brees in Dynasty, but this could hurt his redraft stock a little bit this year. I mean, it will hurt his redraft stock a little bit unless unless Cook goes down. But Channel, do you
Yeah,
got
I think
anything to
this
add
only
about?
affects Brees Hall. I don't think it affects Garrett Wilson or any of the receivers. This is going to be more just a backfield by committee type deal. It's the only person that's really going to be affected is like Brees Hall and Michael Carter and all them. So, and then Aaron Rodgers, that just helps him out. That's another
Mm,
receiving back. Dalvin Cook can catch. He had that like 90-yard or 80-yard touchdown catch. I mean, he can catch out of the backfield. So that pretty much helps Aaron Rodgers. And then a little bit Brees Hall decrease, but not enough to where, like
yeah,
you said, dynasty wise.
Hmm.
yeah. The only other thing I do want to say too, I think it'd be pretty cool if Dalvin Cook does go to the Jets, if they used those two like Green Bay uses Jones and Dillon. I think that would be a pretty cool implementation of those two. I mean, you got to put the best 11 on the field, and if those two, there's no way those two on any team aren't the best part of the best 11. So we'll see. Only time will tell. Fournette, no news. Zeke, no news, and Kareem Hunt, no news. So running back position is a little scarce with the money right now. I think that's what all four of those guys are trying to chase. Respect it, but that window's closing for all of them. So the unfortunate thing with football starting is there are injuries and there's a sizable amount. So the big one that everybody's probably already seen, and we'll just talk about this one real quick, is Joey B was limped off the field and then was carted to the locker room with a calf injury. Tyler, I believe you told me a little bit more about that, so why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, it was a non-contact injury. I saw the
Mm-hmm.
clip. They were doing just regular offense defense. He went to slide out of the pocket to his left and just tweaked something in that leg, fell down, tried to get up and walk it off, but ended up just going back down to a knee. Trainers and staff came over, then carted him off the field. I saw reports where he could only be out probably 2 to 3 weeks, so he will be back for preseason. I doubt that they'd play him in preseason, but
Yeah, I was gonna
he'll
say
be back for week one.
even if he wasn't back until week one, I don't think that really hurts him at all.
Nah, yeah, they're
But
definitely just going to keep him off the field regardless. He might have did a drive or two, but
yeah. All right, so we're gonna kind of blitzkrieg these next couple. If you guys have any talking points about them, just step in. I'll give a little bit of a pause. Jalen Ramsey is a 6 to 8 week. It's a surgery. I forget exactly what, but I know he's going to be out for the first 6 to 8 weeks. So that's
I
going to
think
hurt
it
the
was his
defense.
knee. He collided with
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill and Drills, and like
Okay,
it didn't
Yeah, it
tear
was his
any
left knee.
ligaments, but it did like something to like the bone,
gotcha.
the tail or something.
Oh, that's not fun. Well, that sucks for the Dolphins defense. I mean, Jalen Ramsey, since he's been in the league, has been a top 3 corner every year. I don't care what anybody says. He's elite. He's one of the best in the league. Jonathan Taylor starts the year on the PUP. So before we get too far ahead, let me kind of describe the PUP a little bit. So PUP or PUP stands for physically unable to perform, and in training camp, players can go on and off the PUP with no penalty or no negative consequences. So if you guys remember, Kendre Miller was on the PUP like a week ago, or 2 weeks ago maybe, and then like 5 days later he was off. So it's a pretty open door in and out. Now, if the player enters the season on the PUP, I believe they are out for 4 weeks, but it could be 6. I'm not.
I think it's 6.
6 sounds correct because I think
Yeah.
IR is 4, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
IR is 4.
IR is 4, PUP is 6. So this PUP news, really take it into consideration. But I mean, as of this recording on July 28th, nothing's really set in stone. So these guys could still make their comeback before training camp's over, really, before the preseason starts. So like I said, Jonathan Taylor goes on the PUP. I know, Tyler, you're a Colts fan, so how you
Yeah.
feeling?
Well, he's on the list because he underwent ankle surgery in January that he's still recovering from. He missed all of OTAs and veteran mini camps, which is a little scary seeing your best offensive player not on the field and in practice with a rookie quarterback. But I wasn't expecting the Colts to do too much this year. So if Jonathan Taylor takes kind of a step back this year, I'd be fine as long as he has an explosive year afterwards.
Was
and
he
gets his
at
money.
practice, or was he still wherever he is recovering?
I think he was there, but he just was
Okay.
not participating.
That's good. At least he was there. That's good. Shanos, anything before we move on to the next guy?
No, Jonathan Taylor's pretty much the backbone of that offense. So if he doesn't play, you see a lot more potential for Richardson and the receivers, but nothing crazy.
Who's the backup?
Is it Deion Jackson still?
It's Zach Moss and Dion.
Zach Moss, yeah.
All right, well, I mean, maybe stash those guys on your bench if you already drafted. Who knows?
And speaking of Colts backup halfbacks, did you guys see what happened to Naheem Hines?
Mm-mm.
Well, former Colts backup. He was in a jet ski accident that caused a knee injury, and now he's out for the entire season.
You know
It
what?
said that
That
he
meme
was-
I saw makes so much more sense now. I didn't know it was a jet ski accident.
Yeah. Said that he
Alright.
was sitting stationary when someone collided with him and had to be medevac to the hospital. It was serious
Damn.
injuries, but nothing was life-threatening.
That's crazy. It's a wild incident. That sucks. Hopefully, I mean, he's out for the season, you said, so
hmm
I mean, hopefully he comes back. That's tough. I mean, if you guys been following the news, running back, it's been the talk of the town. It's going to be hard for him to work his way back in the league. So I hope everything goes well with that. And hopefully he does enter back in the league because he was always dynamic when he got the ball. He was just never the guy in any backfield. So the next guy we have here on the PUP is Kyler. And I think everybody kind of saw this one coming. Big non-contact injury, week 11, 12, something like that.
Later in the season, yeah.
Underwent surgery. I did see a video of him and Hollywood Brown. They were walking around the field. Hollywood's not hurt. They were just talking and being teammates. So he's at practice. He's walking around. He's moving. There is some reports that he's doing like straight line sprints, but no cutting, nothing crazy. So, I mean, his progress seems pretty good, and I would expect him to be back middle of preseason. So hopefully for week 1 would be great.
Yeah, I'm drafting Hollywood Brown and everyone just like I would if he was not hurt. I think their production is not going to be they're still going to have an NFL quarterback throwing to him, and Kyler's pretty much going to be gone for a couple of weeks. It seems like at worst now. So Hollywood Browns and every one of those Arizona wide receivers are going way later than what I think they're to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that could definitely be one person you look at drafting 2 or 3 rounds later than you would have normally if Kyler was never hurt in the first place.
Yep. He finished, well, so not finished. Whenever he was with Kyler and it was just him and Kyler, no D-Hop, he was like a top 15 wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. And he's
And
getting drafted later now than he was
Yeah.
with D-Hop on the Cardinals.
Yep.
So
You can get him as around wide receiver 30 is about where I've seen him in most mocks and most actual drafts. So if he hits,
that's
which
nuts.
he's done in the past, I mean, he did it with Lamar, he did it with Kyler. He's been proven to do it. So if he hits, you can draft top 15. You can draft a low end wide receiver 1 in the 6th round, 7th round, depending on how the draft falls. So if that's all on Kyler, we're gonna go to the next guy, Wan'Dale Robinson for the New York Giants, one of the 25,000 RBIs they have. RBIs. Thinking about baseball. Just restart that. Wan'Dale Robinson is the next guy that shows up on the PUP list. He is a wide receiver for the New York Giants. He's one of the 27,000 of them. I can't name all of them. There's no superstar. There's nobody that stands out. So that kind of sucks because Wan'Dale he probably had the most upside, I think, out of all of them. He was a high prospect coming out of college, and he was hurt his rookie year, right?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Because
Yeah.
I know he wasn't on the field a lot, and I knew that he was good, but hopefully it's nothing too major. I didn't really read up too much on it. I just saw that he was on the PUP. It's not terrible news, not the end of the world. Hopefully he comes off of it soon. J.K. Dobbins is the next guy, and this one's big because the entire offseason was the Ravens' offense is back. J.K. Dobbins is back. Lamar's back. Well, J.K. Dobbins, as of right now, might not be back. He's dealing with a hamstring injury, which kept him off the field the second time he came back. So after he came back from the big surgery and the big recovery, he had a hamstring injury that kept him off the field once he returned. So it's tricky. It's tough. I mean, I was a believer of JK. I still am, kind of, because it's still early. This is literally the 3rd or 4th day of training camp. So we're just speculating at this point. But JK being on the PUP kind of sucks to see.
Yeah, I think Gus Edwards is not practicing too. I think he's still recovering from last year. So I don't know. That's like their 3rd string running back already.
Yep, we have a little bit of news later with the Ravens backfield we'll get into. But Tyler, anything to add?
It does suck to see him constantly being hurt. It would be nice to see a full season from him, but I don't know if that's going to happen this year.
Yeah. The crazy thing to think is if you're in a dynasty league, he's 24. He's like in the prime of his career, and he's played 1 full season, and he's been out 2, it feels like. So hopefully he gets back on the field. It'd be great to see him out there. The next one isn't so much fantasy relevant. Lyle Collins of the Bengals, he's on the PUP. I know that's Joe Burrow's bodyguard out there. He's probably he is their best offensive lineman. So hopefully it's nothing too serious, and he can just come back for regular season, so he can protect Joe so Joe can get the ball out everywhere he needs to.
Yeah, nothing really on that. Just a lineman.
Yeah. So the next 3 players I have are all 3 Seahawks players. So the first one's Noah Fant. He's on the PUP. I think he was tight end 1 there. I don't know. I know they mixed in like 3 or 4 different ones, but he's the most athletic. So, I mean, if you want to draft a Seahawks tight end for some reason, I would go with Noah Fant, but my best advice is to just stay away from that room. But he's another reliable pass catcher for Geno. That's about it. He doesn't have too much fantasy relevance.
Yeah, nothing really there. I'd rather have like Lockett or anyone else but the tight end room there.
Yeah. Tyler, anything?
Yeah, he was placed on the list I saw from this didn't come out I wanted to. He was placed on the list with knee concerns. Pete Carroll in an interview said that he was having some problems with his left knee, which is scary for a tight end, as well as scary for any position, but especially a tight end who's on the line blocking a lot because you need that foundation, you need that support. But they say it's not a big deal, that he could be back off the list here in a week or two, but hopefully small problems don't turn into big ones.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like I said earlier with JK, this is the first news we get for football season, so it's exciting, it's new, it's curious, it's scary for some people if you're in keeper or dynasty and you have these guys all year. But the next two guys are on defense for the Seahawks, and the first one's Tariq Woolen, and the second one's Jamal Adams, who got hurt week 1 of last year's season, and he enters this year on the PUP. So must have been some crazy complications with him and his surgery and recovery. I mean, he was dynamic on the field. Obviously, those two guys. Woolen was a top 5 cornerback last year.
He was regarded as one, yeah.
Yeah, he was good. So those are two big hits for the Seahawks defense.
Yeah, and I believe with Jamal Adams, I think it's the same quad that's always been a pain in his side. So if it is in fact that same injury, I think he could be out for even longer.
Yeah, which sucks. He's great to watch. He's fun to watch. All right. So that's all I have for the injuries. You guys have anything else that you saw or want to throw out?
Yeah, I saw that Garrett Wilson had a minor injury. He suffered a moderate grade right ankle sprain. Said it would only be out a week, but it is something to watch just in case. Again, small problems turn into big ones. And going back to rumors, I saw a rumor that Davante Adams wants out of Las Vegas and wants to go to New York with Rodgers and Hackett. So be on the lookout for more news with that.
I mean, he finished wide receiver 3, wide receiver 3, and wide receiver 1 under that regime, so it makes sense. But that's crazy. That'd be insane, honestly. I don't know how to describe that. So
it would just be the 2017 Packers again.
With Garrett Wilson, with Breece Hall.
Yeah. With just better support players.
With a better defense too.
We could see a Super Bowl run from New England, from New York.
Yeah, there's a reason that they haven't been in the playoffs. So, oh, speaking of the Jets, I'm glad you said that. There was a video today of Zach Wilson pulling off his best Patrick Mahomes impression and throwing a no-look pass, and it was actually a dot. So, can't believe they spent all that money on Aaron Rodgers when they have somebody like him on the bench. So, go Jets. All right. Anything else before we hop over to some more positive news?
No, not for me.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple of the biggest injury concerns from last year that are entering into this year, Javonte Williams didn't enter this year on the PUP, which is great, which means his recovery is probably going as planned. You will see reports that say Javonte is ahead of schedule. He will be ready for week 1 and all this stuff. Those are pieces that have to come out. It feels like they happen every year with the player that's hurt the last year. Oh, he'll be ready for week 1, no doubt. And then week 1 comes around and they're not on the field because they're not ready. So do as much research as you can. If you plan on drafting somebody who had a big injury like that, like Javonte or Breece Hall, the next guy we're going to talk about. It's always good to form your own opinions, deriving facts from multiple sources instead of just listening to one opinion and calling it that. But I'm glad to see him back on the field. That's the good news, is he's back. All right. As I said, the next guy we're going to talk about is Breece Hall. This seems like the New York Jets episode with a couple of injuries sprinkled in for other teams. But Breece Hall didn't enter the season on the PUP either. I mean, I'm sure everybody remembers suffering a terrible ACL tear. I think it was ACL. Was it MCL or ACL? Either way.
I think it was his ACL.
He tore one of the two, and he missed the remainder of the season, and he underwent surgery, and now he's back, kind of. Hopefully he's fully healthy for the season. That'd be great. Brees Hall was electric. He was awesome to watch. He could take any ball to the house. It didn't matter if they were 99 yards away or 50 yards away, if it was a run, if it was a pass. He just had the vision and he had the speed to just take it where he wanted it to.
Yeah, he looked great for them first 4 or 5 weeks. He was like in the top 10, top 5, I think. He was
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah,
So,
the first 2 weeks were a little rough just because they were still mixing Michael Carter in for whatever reason. But then once Brees stepped up and was that guy, there was no looking back. All right, so the next positive thing we have is Calvin Ridley seems to be exceeding expectations in Jaguar. The next bit of positive news is Calvin Ridley seems to be exceeding expectations in Jacksonville. I know, Tyler, you were telling me a little bit about before we started recording tonight.
Yeah, he's been lighting it up down in Duval. He missed the past 2 years because first year he sat out due to mental health reasons, and then in 2021, and then in 2022 he was suspended with the gambling debacle. But he seems to be lighting it up this year in training camp. I saw a video comparing Zay Jones and Calvin Ridley running the same route. Zay Jones, I think the video said, ran a 4.42 40, and it was a good route. It didn't look like anything special, but then Calvin Ridley came up and that route looked so much faster. Like he was exploding out of breaks. The route was a little rounded, I will say, but it was still very fast. So Calvin Ridley looks like to be right back to where he left off.
And that was what, wide receiver 3 overall finish?
Yeah,
I believe
top 5.
Yeah, so
Target monster.
he was a dog. He was a dog in Atlanta. I hope he's back. He's tough. He's been the toughest person. That's been the toughest decision I've stared down this year in mock drafts so far, and best ball drafts is, do I take Calvin Ridley or not?
Yeah, especially since Christian Kirk was like low end wide receiver 1 last year, or like a high end wide receiver 2.
Yeah, Christian Kirk had a career year, and he got the bag. Well,
yeah.
Before last year, he got the bag, and then he proved why he did. So the last piece of positive news here before we get into some signings, Bryce Young and CJ Stroud have seemed to be doing really well in OTA's rookie camp and then the start of training camp, which is great. They're the 1 and 2 picks for a reason. There's going to be bumps. There's going to be hills to climb this first season, but I'm excited to watch both these guys. Even though they're on relatively bad teams, I'm excited to watch both of them.
And let's not forget about the other rookie quarterback, Anthony Richardson. I've been seeing videos of him lighting it up.
Did you mean Will Levis? Right division, wrong team.
What? What did I say?
think he's getting beat up by Malik Willis right now, is what I heard.
You said the Colts, Anthony Richardson. Right division, wrong team. The Titans and Colts. Oh, wait.
I'm so lost.
He said, let's talk about
I said the other rookie quarterback, Anthony Richardson.
And I said Will Levis.
I was lost in that whole thing. I don't know what, just my brain shut down.
Okay, well, just restart and I won't say anything about the third best quarterback in the draft.
Oh, all right.
Hendon Hooker.
But let's not forget about the other rookie quarterback, Anthony Richardson. I've been seeing a lot of videos of him lighting it up in training camp, and he has officially been named QB1 of the Colts. It was rumored that he was going to be the starter, but now it's official. He will be starting week 1 for Indianapolis.
Yeah, he's exciting. Out of all the rookie quarterbacks this year, he has with the rushing upside, he has the chance to finish the highest of the 4. But that's pretty obvious considering how much he ran in college. So if there's nothing else, let's get into some of these signings and extensions. Why don't we? So the big one that I'm still confused about is Saquon Barkley denied the franchise tag at $10.1 million, but signed a 1-year, $11 million contract with a $2 million signing bonus. So, I guess he got more money.
Yeah, to me, this is basically him just signing the franchise tag. Like nothing nothing really has changed. He still needs an extension for the end of the year. He's still only there
Well,
for 1 year.
well, thanks for saying that because that reminded me. I was thinking about this earlier. So he signed an extension, correct?
I believe
Right?
so, yes.
That's what he just signed. Yeah. So the Giants could franchise tag him next year.
I didn't think about that.
So he could just
Yes,
be
sir.
in the same situation he was in this year.
Yeah, which
But
still doesn't make a lot of sense. Like,
no.
why sign this deal and not take the franchise? I guess to guarantee yourself at least 2 years if you want the franchise tag, but I don't
But I don't
I
think
don't
he
know.
wanted the
It's really
franchise.
confusing.
He definitely didn't want.
But
He obviously didn't want the franchise tag, or else he would have just signed
yeah,
him like Tony Pollard did. But
yeah, I don't know. Saquon's kind of confusing me here a little bit, but
yeah,
I don't
I
know.
mean, he was
Guess
all
we got to see
public
how it
about.
goes.
He was all public about not signing it and sitting out till he gets the deal he wanted. I can't imagine that this is what he had
Yeah,
in mind,
this
though.
cannot be the deal that he wanted. What, 900,000 more than the
Base
franchise tag?
salary, yes. Base salary, yes. But the signing bonus was $2 million,
Oh, that's true.
so 13 million total. But in the grand scheme
Yeah.
of things,
Yeah, this
I
doesn't
don't know.
seem like the right move for me. I don't. It's just weird. It's got this weird ick around it. I don't know what it is.
I mean, it's a great move for the Giants as a team because then they can just
Yeah,
franchise tag him next year and basically secure air quotes with that for the audio listeners, Saquon for another year. But I don't know. So the second biggest extension that came out of this was Justin Herbert's 5-year, $262 million deal. This makes him per year the highest paid quarterback in NFL history by, I think he's 52, and then Lamar's 51, and then Jalen's 51, and then Lamar's 50. So all three of those deals were all signed this offseason, and they all broke the bank.
And Burrow still needs a bag too, doesn't he? So
Yeah, Burrow hasn't signed anything
he'll
yet.
probably break that again.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. The craziest one, though, is Mahomes is like 12 years for $450 million.
Yeah,
Something,
it's a steal compared
deserving.
to that.
But yeah, per year it is. Per year it is. But I mean, everybody saw this coming. I'm a little surprised it's only 5 years, though,
yeah. I thought it would be
because
longer.
I mean, I understand Jalen's 5-year deal because he's a mobile quarterback and he could wear down quicker, but Herbert's a dangerous pocket passer. So I don't know if the team is expecting him to, I don't know how that's going to work out. He could very well sign another extension in 2028 and get more money. Who knows? So, anything else to add with that? All right, so we have another 5-year deal. Trayvon Diggs signs a 5-year, $97 million deal. Good franchise move. I mean, I'm not a fan of Trayvon Diggs personally because number one, because I'm an Eagles fan, and number two, his rookie year, he gave up the most yards but had the most pick sixes. So still
But I
getting
did
burnt
think
by the double routes.
yeah, I think he reined in those yards a little bit this past year.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
seemed to be a little more
not hard
locked
to
down.
it's not hard to be better than the worst. So
That is true.
he gave up the most. It's not hard to be better than the most.
I guess what I'm trying to say is he looked a little more polished last
did.
year
He did. He looked better last
than
year.
his rookie
I will
year.
say that. That's the Eagle
He's
bias
really
coming
good
out
for
in me.
fantasy wise because yards
yeah.
don't matter, but the picks do for scoring. So fantasy wise, that
Yeah.
helps Dallas's defense for sure.
For sure. I mean, like I said, it's a good fantasy and it's a great, just flat out NFL move. He's a lockdown corner, kind of lockdown. He's a top 5, right?
I could see him. I could see an
Maybe.
argument
You
for
could
him being
argue
there.
that.
Yeah,
You could argue.
Okay.
yeah, I could see an argument for it.
Personally, I don't agree with that, but I'm just talking publicly, or the general rankings of cornerbacks. So we've got some. Actually, let's get. Oh, there is one more 5-year deal. Excuse me. This is where all the Giants' money went. By the way, Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle, signs a 5-year, $117 million deal. Another great
That's a
move
lot
for.
of money.
Another great move. I mean, he's good. Protects Danny Dimes. Will move the line for Saquon. I think this is just a boost. I mean, he'll be better than he was
a
last
very
year.
deserving contract.
Yeah, he was a really good tackle last year, really good. So a couple smaller deals. We'll start with least significant to most significant in these smaller ones. Ty Johnson, hometown hero here, back in Maryland. He signed a 1-year deal with the Jets. Right? Did he re-sign after the injury or no? I don't remember when this was dated because I looked through the Jets.
I'm not
Have
sure.
any idea.
But great for him.
just-
Love to see him still in the league.
yeah, yeah. He works hard. He was great in Maryland. I don't really know if he's ever. I don't want to say a fair shot because I know practice and all that stuff counts as opportunity, but he never did bad in a game situation. I don't think that I saw.
I mean, his first game he started, I think he scored. I know he scored 1 touchdown, but I don't know if it was any more.
Yeah, I mean he was great. He was great when he was on the field. Another again hometown hero here for us. But so then we have Marquise Goodwin goes to the Browns. He's a burner. He could take the top off the defense. Maybe a shot play or two with Deshaun Watson. I don't see him as a consistent weapon here. I just see him more as a change of speed, a change of pace.
Yeah,
I know how
that's
Tyler
pretty
feels
much-
about Deshaun Watson, so
No comment.
I actually saw some video of him, and he looks pretty good this training camp so far.
That's propaganda. Don't believe it.
That's
okay.
CGI.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It was actually him in the Texans training camp. They just video edited the colors.
Yeah, they put the Browns jersey on him.
Fair enough. So then the most significant small signing is Melvin Gordon the third goes to the Ravens, which makes sense with J.K. Dobbins being on the pup and Gus Edwards still struggling with his injury. Melvin Gordon's a serviceable running. He was a serviceable running back. He was great.
I think it was
4 or
just the
5 years
Nathaniel
ago.
Hackett effect.
Well,
I think
he
it was
did
really
also
just the
fumble
Nathaniel.
the ball an insane amount of times.
That is true.
But outside of the fumbles, he's been good his career. He's had a good career. So, but I think if JK and Gus are healthy, I mean, he couldn't break the backfield with Pacheco, McKinnon, and CEH last in the playoffs with the Chiefs. So,
Yeah, he's just their worst case scenario. Both of them
Yeah.
don't make week 1 is what they
Yep.
picked them up for.
so you guys know any you guys have any more signings or anything that I skipped over or didn't see?
I don't have any more signings, but I do have kind of a funny story. It revolves Nathaniel Hackett, so we're going back to Jets territory. Sean Payton, in an interview, was ripping Nathaniel Hackett, saying that this was one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL, and that there were 20 dirty hands around Russell Wilson's worst career season. So
I like it. Can't wait for them to play this year. I hope they do.
I think they play week 5. I'm pretty sure. 'Cause I saw a bunch
That'll
of
be
comments saying wait till week 5. So
That'll be a game to circle.
yeah, and then before recording this episode, I saw a report where Trey Lance has fallen to 3rd on the depth chart behind Sam
Dang.
Darnold.
Sam Darnold?
Yeah, Brock
Ugh.
Purdy says his arm is feeling great after recovering from the ulnar collateral ligament. Is that what that- yeah.
UCL.
Yeah, the UCL from the NFC Championship game.
Tommy John. It's a
Yeah.
baseball injury.
He's practiced 2 out of the 3 days. He's been looking good throwing the ball, and
Mhm.
Trey Lance has been struggling with injury and hasn't been on the field much, so he has now fallen to 3 behind Sam Darnold.
Brock Purdy on the field's best case scenario for the 49ers.
I think so too, yeah.
I don't
out
know
of
what.
those 3, the 2 top 3 picks
Mhm.
are behind Mr. Relevant.
I don't
That's
know
a
what
lot to
Lance
think
can
of.
do because we haven't seen it, but it's going to be hard to top what Purdy did last year. So if there's nothing else, we have a couple headlines I just want to discuss quickly. Don't have to go into too much detail, but this has been a big question I've seen on Hot Take and First Take on Sports Center and ESPN. Who's under more pressure this year to perform, Dak Prescott or Mike McCarthy?
That's a tough one. My opinion,
Oh, go ahead.
I think it's Dak. Because, I mean, Mike McCarthy's been in the league a long time. He's a Super Bowl winning head coach.
Not with the Cowboys.
Not with the Cowboys. Yeah, that's a hard thing to do. But I just feel like Dak's under a lot more scrutiny because I mean with the shit ton of picks he threw last year,
Well,
playing like half the
yeah,
season.
Yeah, I was gonna say he played 5 less games than the guy he's tied with in first place for interceptions.
Yeah, and he did
So-
say in an interview that that was his main goal was to lessen the interceptions. That he even to go far as even say that it was going to be a guarantee that he had less interceptions.
And guess what?
I-
Guess what? He threw 2 picks today in training camp.
That's tough.
One
But
wasn't his
I-
fault. The one did hit the wide receiver square in the chest, and it just bounced up, and the defender caught it. But the other one was a terrible read.
Yeah, but I think all eyes are on Dak right now.
hmm Yeah, I mean they haven't won a playoff game. They might have won one. Excuse me, sorry, a
Yeah, but
playoff game.
Yeah, but I could see the argument for McCarthy, especially considering how their last playoff game ended with that. God only knows what play that was supposed to be.
Where Zeke
With
got
Zeke was
manhandled.
under center, yeah. So I could see why Mike McCarthy is also under fire, but I think all eyes are on Dak.
I agree to a point. The one of the biggest headlines towards the beginning of the offseason was the firing or releasing of Kellen Moore because Mike McCarthy wants to call plays. So if that offense steps back, I think both of them are massively at blame here. Because Mike McCarthy thinks he could do better than what Kellen Moore did. And I mean, coaching is just calling a play. You can't execute it yourself. So the execution falls on the quarterback. So, I mean, I think they're both kind of equally under the same amount of pressure, but McCarthy's going to be the first one to lose his job 100%.
Yeah,
So,
and we
I
also
mean,
have
I
to
guess
see.
what- Go ahead.
Yeah, we also have to see what's going on with Zach Martin too. Speaking of the Cowboys,
Oh, yeah.
he has been
that's a
absent of
good
training
point.
camp because of his contract. So maybe that's a little bit to do with the management and the coaching side with Mike McCarthy. So that's
There's
something
no
to
way-
also look at too.
There's no way they let him go. He's literally the best guard in football.
Ever since he's been drafted, he's been like the best
Yeah.
guard.
Channel, do you got anything to weigh in here?
Yeah, I definitely think it's Dak. He definitely needs to win a playoff game other than the one they won last year. He did really good in that game against Tampa. I think, like
but
you
it
said, the
was
49er
Tampa.
game they lost. Yeah, it was like a ghost of Tom Brady and stuff, and that offense was terrible in Tampa. But Dak has been there for nearly a decade now, and they have only won 1 or 2 playoff games. And this was under Jason Garrett. This was under Mike McCarthy. There was like 1 or 2 other ones, like
hmm
different head coaches and stuff, but he's never really got anywhere past it. And they're probably one of the most winning franchises in the last decade too. They're always winning 10 to 12 games every season, it feels like. And for them just to get stuck in the wild card or divisional round is just insane to me. So Dak definitely needs to figure that out. And like you said with Mike McCarthy, if he brings the offense down due to first like ego checking Kellen Moore and wants to call
Mhm.
plays, and that's going to be bad for him too because Jerry Jones, I think, is getting fed up with the 10 to 12 win seasons and not winning anything. So they definitely both could be on a hot seat for sure.
Yep. All right. So speaking of hot seats, which NFL coach do you think has the hottest seat right now?
I'm swaying towards Dan Campbell of the Lions.
Really?
I think it's just the Lion coach stigma that like
Okay.
people come in and they expect this culture change, which he has done. They're on the upside, but I think if there's a chance they could have any team has a chance of having a really disappointing season.
Yeah.
Injuries, whatever may happen on the field could affect the season. But I think that it's just the Lions that it's, the Lions really want to win, and they went 7-10 last year. They're on the upside, but I think if Dan has a really disappointing season, I think that there could be some fingers being pointed at him.
I agree. I think Goff's gone too if they have a bad year, because this is his last year of his contract. I think if Goff doesn't have a great year and the Lions don't make the playoffs or win a couple games in the playoffs, I think it's Hendon Hooker time.
I hope so. I have him on my dynasty.
There you go. Shanholtz, anything?
So I kind of have 2. One's not really a hot seat, but I think Salah needs to win. This Jets, like we said, they added piece after piece after piece. I think they're going Super Bowl or bust this year. So Salah definitely is in a spot where he needs to win in a super tough division with New England, Bill Belichick, and then you got Sean McDermott of the Bills, and you got Mike McDaniel of the Dolphins. 3 very tough divisional opponents to work around. And then the person I think is actually in the hot seat is Ron Rivera of the Redskins.
Damn,
they just signed
I
Kansas City's offensive coordinator to there, and he wants to be a head coach real bad. He had a couple interviews, I think, but landed there. And I think he's coming for Rivera's spot. So if Rivera doesn't do nothing with that Commanders team this year, with a Sam Howell at quarterback, which is going to be hard already, I think we could see the offensive coordinator Bellamy or Bellamy, I forget how to say it, but
Bieniemy.
Eric Bieniemy. Yeah, I could see him taking Rivera's spot for sure.
Yeah, Ron Rivera was my answer too. I love what he did in Carolina. Great, he was a great coach in Carolina. I don't know what really changed from.
He doesn't have Cam Newton.
Yeah, I guess so. That's true. Yeah, I feel like his whole kind of like culture changed with his transition to Washington. He's always been a defensive guy. I mean, actually, the best. Whenever they beat the Eagles last year, they just held onto the ball longer.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think Ron Rivera's in the hot seat there. Man, I was a little thrown off there. I didn't think anybody was going to pick Rivera, so I don't have a second one available right now.
Kevin Stefanski of the Browns could be another one since they picked up Watson and got Elijah Moore and all them.
I don't know if I don't know if this one would technically be a hot seat or just kind of an automatic fire, but I think Josh Daniels is done after this year, the Raiders head coach. I think after this year he's done.
Oh, that was
I think no matter what, I think he's done.
I've heard some rumors about Sean McVay. I mean,
really?
he was close.
I think he just wants to quit. Yeah,
I think he just wants to be done. So, the other one too that I've heard a lot about is Brandon Staley for the Chargers.
Chargers. I was trying to think of who he coached.
Yeah, I mean, this year will be the year to prove it. I mean, he's got Kellen Moore, just signed Herbert to an assload of money, have all the weapons, drafted Quentin Johnston, Eckler's back. They didn't lose anybody on defense. I mean, it's got to be this year, it feels like. It feels like it has to be this year for the Chargers, or else they're going to make some changes at the top. So I guess that's my second answer is Brandon Staley. So our third headline, Odell Beckham Jr. stated that this is probably going to be his last year. I think it's a little overdue.
Yeah, I think he's just holding on.
Yeah. He was great for the Giants for that 3 to 4 year stretch, and then once he got hurt, or he got traded to the Browns, he was all right there his first year, and then he got hurt, right?
And then he started having quarrels with Baker and not seeing him when he's open.
Yeah.
And
then he was out a whole year, right?
For most of it, I believe. I think he played like 3 games or something. And
then that was the year he signed with the Rams, right? Last year?
Yeah.
Or 2 years ago, whenever that was.
Yeah, because it was the Super Bowl. It was the year they won the Super Bowl. I forgot that he won a Super Bowl with the Rams.
And then he was just out all of last year.
Because he was in free agency and nobody signed him, right?
Nobody signed him because he was 30 years old. So he's going into year 31 on the Ravens.
Yeah, this is one final hurrah for him.
Yeah, I said it before and I'll say it again. He's going to finish wide receiver 3 on that depth chart behind Bateman and Flowers. Don't know the order of those two, but I know I know OBJ will be at the bottom. All right, so the last little headline we have before we call it an episode for you guys is Howie Roseman for the Eagles expresses his concerns for an RB by committee this year for Philly. That was already pretty obvious from how they ran last year with Miles Sanders, Gainwell, and Boston Scott. But this year, they have 2 pretty good running backs in Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift, but neither of them can stay healthy.
Yeah, it's only a matter of when they're on the field. But I think with those signings, it was just kind of apparent that they were going to do a committee. The Eagles seem like
Yeah.
they're always a team that, at least since Doug Peterson went through, that they're always a team that has multiple running backs that can do various things.
He actually referenced LaShawn McCoy a little bit and was like, the last time the Eagles had a solo running back was LaShawn McCoy. But I mean, DeAndre Swift succeeded perfectly in a committee with Jamal Williams. So I think if anybody's going to do well in that committee, it will be Swift. But again, the downside to that is Jalen Hurts is like bottom 3 in checking the ball down to running backs. So DeAndre Swift gets the majority of his fantasy relevancy from receiving. He can run the ball, but Rashad Penny's there. So he's not going to
Yeah,
run
I
the
think
ball
if
too often.
everyone in that backfield is healthy, I'm gonna target Rashad Penny, just like you said, because DeAndre Swift's gonna be the pass down back, and Penny's gonna be the ground and pound guy and goal line guy, and
Yeah.
Hurts is gonna scramble before he checks down.
Well, Hurts is actually the goal line guy there.
Yeah, well, yeah.
If we
The
consider
Phillies.
the
And then always
Muddle
play
Huddle.
Boston Scott against the Giants.
Oh yeah, John. If you guys want some free money, just bet anytime touchdown score Boston Scott anytime the Eagles play the Giants. He scored like 10 career touchdowns
I
and
think
7 of them were the Giants. So
it's like 80% or something nuts.
yeah. Well, is there anything else you guys have to add? Anything at all?
Yeah, I have another headline. The QB battle in Tampa is lighting up. Let me tell you, folks. There's a video going around of Baker and Trask duking it out, going blow for blow. The same pass, same route, same receiver, I believe, both overthrown
Perfect.
twice. So
That's what we like to see.
QB battle is definitely in full swing in Tampa. I cannot wait to see who wins. Personally, I'm on the side of Kyle Trask, but call me crazy.
Do we know who QB3 is there or no?
I don't.
Is it not even a possibility for there to be somebody worse?
I don't even know if they have
Baker?
3 on the roster.
Is there a possibility for somebody in the NFL to be worse than Baker?
Is Russell Gage there? He could be a QB.
He might be their emergency QB.
Yeah.
Versatile.
Ain't he like the most best pass rating in NFL
he
history?
I thought that was Mohamed Sanu.
Yeah,
That's one of those two.
Mohamed Sanu.
He was like 7 for 7
awesome.
for like 100 and some yards and 2 touchdowns. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure he was a quarterback in college though, Mohamed Sanu.
Yeah, I think he played. Yeah,
he was. Yeah.
So, well, I believe that's going to wrap it up here for us, the Fantasy Bums, for episode 13. Let us know what you guys think. Are you excited for the NFL season? Obviously, we are. We got a little bit of news and we took it a mile to this episode. So, stick around for more. This is where if you want to stay up to date with everything, this is where you're going to be. Once the actual season kicks off, we're going to be uploading twice a week. So, be here for it. It's been a lot of fun, but we haven't even scratched the surface yet because nothing's really happened. We've been just making stuff up and doing whatever we think for ideas instead of actually having football to discuss. And I personally, I can't wait to start talking actual football and players and stuff.
When's the Hall of Fame game? I know it's coming soon.
Oh, I saw some. Oh, now I got to do math real quick, and it's simple.
It's like the Jets and someone else.
Pretty sure it's next week. I'll look that up real quick.
Yeah, I think it's next week, but I just don't know what day it is.
Thursday. I'm pretty sure it's Thursday. August 3rd. Yep, Thursday.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
So
football's back.
Football's back, baby. Who's playing in the Hall of Fame game? I don't even.
Jets and other. I don't know who the team is.
Jets and anybody who wants to play them.
Yeah, anyone who wants to smoke.
Robert Saleh is just going to be standing out in front of the stadium, just begging for coaches to come by.
He's actually going to suit up and play middle linebacker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That'd be terrifying, actually. He's a massive human.
And insane. His energy is off the charts.
he reminds me a lot of Dan Campbell. Or I should say Dan Campbell reminds me a lot of Robert Saleh. Anyways, off track. That's going to do it for episode 13. I'm Nick. Along with me, we got Shan Holtz and Tyler. Our socials are above us. Instagram is fantasy.bums. TikTok, fantasy_bums_. Twitter, bums_FF. YouTube, fantasy bums. We're working with sharps. I know you can't really see my hat because it's dark in here. If you want to go fade somebody's bets, come fade mine. You're probably going to be wrong. The last time somebody faded me, all three of them were wrong. So, comes with the territory, I guess. Head over to Sharps, use code FANT, FANT429, and make sure you link a sports book. It's great over there. We have a lot of fun. Shan Holtz is kind of slowing down with the bets, it seems like, or at least I haven't seen him too much.
The bar stool is like getting updated, so I haven't been able to post for a while. But
Oh, okay. Fair
it
enough.
might be a good thing because I was losing money at an alarming rate. So,
Well, I appreciate everybody listening to this, and we'll catch you next time. See you.